Hello, and welcome back to Journey for Philosophy. The book that we have a two-part series on is the Book of Joy, and it is a book that is written by Douglas Abrams, a Jew, but he's not super duper religious. And the book is like a week's worth of interviews from the Dalai Lama, who's a Buddhist holy figure, and the Archbishop Desmond Tutu. These two men are the happiest people, and reading this book gave me such good advice on how to strive towards being a happy person. So the first chapter of the book, so it's like there's all these different chapters, and it's like I think it's like different question based and like week based, but the first chapter kind of was just like explaining who the Dalai Lama and all of them are, and like how they meet, and like just it's like a prelude. So here's just some good quotes to warm everything up. So I didn't write who said what, but it was like, I believe that the purpose of life is to find happiness. And then from the moment of birth, every human wants to discover happiness and avoid suffering. So I thought it was just good. Dive into it.
Yes.
So the first question we're starting with almost kind of goes off the last quote that I read. This is the question that the Dalai Lama straight up like asked in the book. So there are 7 billion people and human beings, and nobody wants to have problems or suffering. But there are many problems and much suffering, most of our creation. Why do you guys think that? So, like, I think there's all different kind of reasons for, like, why people create other suffering for other people. And it's, like, honestly, like, I can go back to the PowerPoint we literally had in Mentors yesterday. I don't know, I just kind of thought of this, but, like, it's, like, other selfishness, obviously, is one of them. But it's, like, let me see if I can find it. It's like human emotions that like cause you to go in on yourself and want to like affect other people. Let me find the emotions, because this honestly relates so hard to it. Let me look at it. Oh, I'm not connected to internet.
Woo!
Just 1 second. I should have pulled this up earlier. Sorry.
Well, I'll speak while you're looking.
Oh, it's just okay. So there's jealousy, anger, worry, sadness, and loneliness. And I think those can all cause other people to inflict problems and sufferings on other people, because I think if you're suffering, you're going to want other people to suffer with you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just so it's less lonely.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's also just, if you're suffering,
you don't want to see other people happy too.
But even from a not from a selfish perspective, you don't have anything to give somebody else to lift them up. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard for you to do anything other than like lash out. Because you're not, like when you're super sad, you're worried, or you're angry, you're not in the mindset of, oh, let me go and fill this person's bucket or do something nice for them. It's, oh gosh, let me just wallow in my stuff and leave me alone. And then you lash out. You may not mean it, but you lash out because you don't have any emotional
stability
to do anything more.
Which is so hard, because I feel like you need other people to feel better, but it's also like, can you blame other people for not being able to be there for you when you're like that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you can.
Yeah, I mean, and it's happened, with Taylor being so sick, and he feels so bad, and then he lashes out, and then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's okay. But if I wasn't
your mom
in the place that I was, I'd be like, dude, what? Okay, fine. And then it escalates, then you push back, and then you get angry, and then now you've got this really big conflict, rather than just, okay, I know this isn't about me. And I think that's the big thing, is figuring out, okay, that what they're going through and what they're putting out there isn't about me. But we always take it that it's about, I know I do.
Yeah.
So
personally.
much it's about me.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah. Oh no. Okay. Yes, I think that whenever people lash out and stuff, I always take it personally, but then I don't take it personally because I always can see where they're coming from. But then, yeah, you're right about, like, whenever you push people away, like, and then get upset about people not being there. It's but it's just sad because I understand why people can't give a lot to other people. So it is sad that they have to, like, they don't have anybody, but then again, people aren't going to want to be around them.
Yeah.
So it's just like a big loophole of, like, no solution. Yeah. It's like no solution.
Well, I think, like, going off of what you were saying about how, like, how are you supposed to fill up someone else's bucket when, like, you don't have anything to give?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, like, such a big thing to be, like, I think that's why I think it's so important to kind of figure out how to be, like, dependent and not by yourself, but how to, like, be happy and, like, love yourself, which also we talk about in Mentors a lot. And I think if you can kind of, like, be okay with, like, yourself and who you are, then you can start relying on other people. Because you never really know someone, and so, like, if you are so codependent on people and then you don't have them anymore, it's like, that's just not.
Yeah.
And speaking about, the only way to get out of the loop is to, in my opinion, is to be vulnerable enough to say to somebody, I'm really struggling right now, and I'm sorry that this isn't coming across the way that it needs to, but this is all I've got to give right now.
Right.
You know, but nobody wants to say that. Nobody wants to be vulnerable, and nobody wants to show their underbelly weakness, right? We all want to have these hard shells of, oh, I've got it together.
Right.
But then we know we don't because we're watching other people, you know, so.
So, yeah, that's the first question. Second, it is, how much control do you think we have over our emotions? Because a big, not debate, but something that the Dalai Lama and Archbishop disagreed on was you do have control over your emotions, and then you don't have control over your emotions.
So did the Dalai Lama say you did?
The Archbishop said you didn't.
Yeah.
And I think you have control over your emotions to a certain extent, but I think it's like, it's something you, like, work on. Like, as you grow up as a kid, you start to slowly get control over your body. I think as you kind of mature and understand yourself, you slowly get more control over your emotions.
Well, like, I think you can figure out how to, like, handle them better, but I don't think you can control them. Like, you can figure out how to deal with emotions and they not affect you as much, but I don't think you can control them ever.
Yeah, I mean, if you mean control in that I can't stop myself from being sad, for sure. Because, I mean, there are times when we are going to be sad and we have to feel sad, right? I mean, if we don't feel it, then it's going to get worse. Like they say, anger turned inward is depression. So if we don't express our anger and we keep stuffing it, eventually it will ooze out as depression. So I think we can't control it in that respect, that we can't just say, I have no emotion, I'm totally fine, all this is happening. But I do think, and I think that the reason why the Dalai Lama says we can control our emotions and the bishop says not really, is because, I mean, think about how the monks live, right? I mean, their whole purpose is to actualize this process of freeing themselves from want and desire and all those things. So it's part of their practice to have controlled feelings.
Yeah, like he wakes up at like 3-4 a.m. and meditates for like 7 hours.
Dang, 7 hours?
Well, I think it's like
it's a long time.
Okay, still that's like even like 30 minutes of meditating is kind of
long
wild.
time. So I do think, however, we do have more control over our emotions than some of us think. But it's very much a growth and learn. I've got to know me. I've got to know what is going to upset me. I've got to know that I'm already on the edge with a lot of things, so I need to make sure that I'm not putting myself in situations that are going to require me to like
lash out,
handle more, and can't handle it and lash out, you know. And I have to be smart enough to surround myself with people who are willing to allow me to be vulnerable and accept my vulnerability.
Right.
And I feel safe to do that so that I'm not stuffing it.
Right.
I think you can control your emotions more when you're actually feeling them than when you are trying to avoid them.
I agree. That's why, like, I think the practice thing, it's like, the more you, like, accept your emotions, the more you can kind of control how you react to everything. And yeah. I don't think it's something you can't control at all, though.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's like, I get where people are coming from. Like, if my dad gets upset with me and he's like, sorry for how I reacted, I was angry. I think that's just like, I understand that's like a valid excuse, but it starts to get frustrating and annoying when it's like, it keeps happening. Because I'm like, I get that you're angry, but like, if you keep doing it, I'm going to start being like, you're not even trying to fix it, and you're not even trying to avoid being angry. Like, avoid getting upset with me when you're angry.
Yeah, and I may have talked about this before, but when my husband and I first started dating, if we'd have he's very much when there's a conflict, he wants to address it right immediately, and he's just going to keep asking and drilling until he gets a resolution. Like, isn't that right? Didn't that happen? Da 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 da. And when he did that early on, I mean, still today, but he's learned to not do it as much. But when he did that early on, I would like go into fight or flight and be like, no, back up. And, you know, and finally I said, I don't know what happened. He goes, what is it you feel when I do that? I'm like, and we had this big oak tree in our backyard where we lived at the time. And I said, I want to run out of the house and climb up into that oak tree and get as far away from you as possible.
Like, why? Because of the way he would like ask you what's wrong?
Because he would just be like, duh, duh, duh. He would just, it was not like he was screaming or anything, but he was just pushing. It was just like, he was highly elevated in his emotions, and he was pushing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that'll stress.
And he was like, oh, wow, okay. And so I'm like, what I need you to do is to ask the question, and then give me some space to deal with it before you start just going at it more. And there was a point, this tied to something. But ultimately that, you know, again, figuring out ways to, okay, I have to, for this relationship to work, I have to be respectful enough Kelly that I'm going to check my own need to get the answer that I think is right immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
And give her the space that she needs. And it's not that she's trying to be evasive or manipulative or whatever. She just needs a moment to process. So yeah, I mean, you can't just be like blow up and then go, oh, sorry again. Oh, sorry again.
Yeah, because then it's like...
I know, that's true.
There comes something. It's like, okay, are you? So anyways.
Yeah, somebody that I used to be friends with would always tell me and, like, her brother and her family, she would go crazy and then be like, well, I know I can do that because I know y'all won't leave. And I'm like, that's toxic. And actually, like, I can leave. Your family won't, but still, like, you're going to make them resent you if you keep doing that. It's not just like a free pass.
It hurts the relationship.
It's not just like a free pass. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I agree. Okay. One fundamental secret of joy is going beyond your own self-centeredness. Does that make you selfish to focus on your own joy and happiness? Which I guess can kind of go off our first one because it's like...
Say that again.
One fundamental secret of joy is going beyond your own self-centeredness. Does that mean that it's selfish to focus on your own joy and happiness?
No.
I think that when you get your own joy and happiness, you can give better to other people.
Yeah.
But I also think, like, I don't know.
Well, I think that you can't say, well, I want to be happy. I'm worried about my happiness, and so I know that I don't care that this is going to bother you or make you unhappy.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but
you
it's
can't,
going to
like,
make me happy, so I'm going to do it.
Get your happiness at the expense of other people.
Right. But I do agree with what you were saying, that unless I'm content and happy with myself, and I'm filling up my own bucket, and I feel emotionally stable, I'm not going to be able to give you anything. You know, and yeah, I need to get out of my own self-centeredness, and there's lots of things that talk about, you know, you're sad, you're depressed, go help somebody else.
Right.
You know, get outside of yourself, you know, stop focusing on yourself so much. And there's, you know, value to that, but at the same time, there's also value to, well, I really have to take care of myself in order to do, you know, it's just kind of like a really fine line there.
Right. Yes. I had something I wanted to add for that, but I couldn't remember. On your own self-centeredness doesn't make self focus on your own joy. What was I going to say? I can't remember. Maybe it'll come back to me. Okay. Genuine friendship is entirely based on trust. You agree with this, and how hard is it for you to trust people? I think genuine friendship is based on trust. Like, genuine friendship. I think there's surface level friendships with people who, like, you trust, but you don't trust. But
I call those acquaintances.
Acquaintances, yes. That's a good term for it. I don't think saying that someone's your friend is, like, a big title, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like, if you're my friend, like we're cool. But, like...
Yeah, for sure.
But then I also think, right, whenever somebody betrays your trust, it's like... Then I can be like, okay, acquaintance, or like, no, we're not even associated. Yeah. But I do think genuine friendship is entirely based on trust.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, there are people that if somebody said, I'll be, oh yeah, they're my friend, but I don't confide, or I don't trust them with my hopes, dreams, life, you know, whatever.
Right.
But for sure, my like closest friends, absolutely, I have to be able to trust them, or they wouldn't be in that circle.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And there have been people in that circle that I thought I could trust, and when they prove that I can't, I'm nice to them, but they're out of the circle.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
They're no longer there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this could also go off, like, the selfish thing and, like, self-centeredness, like betraying someone's trust, like, for your own benefit or, like, happiness. Like, when you tell someone something and they, like if you were to tell, like, your friend who you're not friends with anymore or something, and she logs into your Snap and, like, goes through your Snapchat and betrays your trust, like, that, I think it, like...
That would suck, yeah. And then you're out, so...
You're out. I don't think...
that's so true.
I don't think I have a hard time trusting people, though. I think I'm a good judge of character based on who I, like, think I can and can't trust. Like, I think obviously there's been times I've had people who betrayed my trust, but I think it's been very few times.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pretty good at judgment of character.
Yeah, I think trust is earned over time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I know that when I was probably y'all's age, I was not good at it. I was just like, they're my friend. And
I know. That's me. I've gotten screwed over so many times.
But I improved upon that over time, just from learning from, can't do that. But for sure now, it's very much okay, I'll give you this piece of me, information, what have you, and if you handle that well, then
I'll slowly open up
more. Yeah.
to more.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
Sorry, I'm multitasking right now. I didn't know that we had to do this. What was the question?
The trust.
Yeah, I already added my bit on the trust. I suck at, I trust way too many people. Not anymore, but like, you used to say, like, you would trust people until, like, they gave you a reason not to.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of took that and ran. But now I'm like, no, you have to wait. I feel like you just gotta feel it out and wait to see if you can trust someone before.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. Like, I won't ever go into immediately trusting someone again.
No, yeah.
Because, I don't know, it's just setting yourself up for failure.
Yes.
Do y'all think that you can earn trust back after you broke it?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
That's a good one. I don't.
I mean, I think that...
I don't. I mean, if you're saying, give me a straight up answer, like, short answer, no.
Have you ever have you ever had an instance where somebody broke your trust and they earned it back?
No.
No. I mean, not completely.
Yeah.
I'm probably always going to hold them at
Mm-hmm.
an arm's length because of the fact that, especially if it was somebody that I was really close to.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that that was burnt. I mean, that was a.
Well, because I don't really think, I mean, obviously I think people change, but I don't think people ever really change. So if you've lost it once, like
They have to change a whole lot. I mean, I'd have
which
to
I don't
see-
think is possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like if you lose my trust once, I'm not gonna. I mean, I don't think there's ever a valid reason as to why you would do that to somebody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
At this point in my life, I've not ever had somebody break trust and burn the bridge and never be able to rebuild it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I don't think so.
A couple have tried. Hadn't happened.
Do you? Amber?
I don't know. I've had my trust broken a ton of times and then trusted people again. So, but like I forgive people way too easily. Well, outward, like I don't forgive them in my head, but like I forgive them in real life, if that makes sense.
And I think that's part of the problem or challenge of wanting, like, giving somebody a second chance and hoping that they're going to earn their trust back, is that to do that, you've really got to find a way to completely forget all that's happened before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really hard thing to do.
Yeah.
I think, and I also think like, that's why I think forgiveness is such a hard thing. Like, I feel like everyone's always like,
It's really hard to forgive people, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
all
just
the way,
based off,
all the way.
Yeah,
like
we
it's
talked
really
about that
hard.
before.
like just based, and I know like a big thing in the Bible is forgiveness and everything.
That's hard.
And
though.
I think
It
just
really
like in
is so
every
hard.
religion, but like that's one thing I think I just can't really, like if something's coming at the expense of like me, like I just can't like it's like I don't
Well, and
know.
as we talked about before, the forgiveness is really for us, not for the other person.
Right.
I know,
That
but
doesn't-
Well, I
but
think a
then-
lot of
but
times
that
the
doesn't mean-
forgiveness can be for
No,
just for the
'cause
other person.
I don't. Sometimes I think that I don't know, because if you forgive say like two people wrong two people,
Yeah.
and if one of them forgives the other one, but then didn't get it back, then it's just kind of like that's not even for yourself anymore either.
Right,
If that
but
makes
what I
any
mean,
sense.
I guess, is that really, if somebody's done something really bad,
Mhm.
if I haven't forgiven them, then I'm still, when I see them, I'm thinking about it and all that stuff, and it's eating me up.
Yeah.
Eating away.
Whereas if I go, you know what, that was not great. I've been mad about it for long enough. You clearly weren't who I thought you were. I'm going to let that go.
I
Yeah.
think there's a difference between letting go and forgiving, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. I mean, I think
That's
that's
true.
that forgive and forget. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that, I think it's maybe our misunderstanding of the word,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that a lot of people think, when they think of the word forgive, they think all's forgotten and you're able to come back in.
Yeah.
But that's really not, in my opinion, what it means.
Mhm.
It's, I'm not holding this,
Against
I'm
you.
not holding a place for this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that
Yeah. What
you're
is?
back in.
That's so true. Like, what is the definition of that? Like, for
Of
real, like,
forgiveness?
what actually is, like, I don't know how I would explain that. So, like, it's not being okay with it necessarily, right?
Mhm.
Because, like, forgive, don't, what's the saying? Forgive and
Forgive, don't
forget?
forget.
Forgive, don't forget.
Here, I'll look up the definition of
Of
forgiveness. Just, I know we're getting off track a little bit, but
No, we're not.
just a curiosity what they say, like, the action or process of forgiving or being forgiven. Oh, I love it when the definition has the
word in it, yeah.
All right, so let's.
I hate that. That's so annoying.
Okay, forgive, according to the depths. Stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or mistake. So it's the stop the feeling.
Oh, that's just not real. I don't think that's a real thing.
And that's where I was saying, by continuing the feeling, they just moved on with their life.
Right.
They're living it. They don't really even care what they did. But I'm still thinking about it.
I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
And everything. Okay. Do you think you can have happiness without other emotions like sadness or grief?
No.
I don't think so either. I feel like it makes you really appreciate the happiness too.
Yeah. I mean, life is joy and pain.
Right. And there was something in the book that was like, let me see if I can find it. It says something like, once it's like you get used to being a certain amount of happy, and it just becomes kind of normal. Mm-hmm. So it's like you almost need the pain too. Our ability to cultivate joy has not been scientifically studied as thoroughly as our ability to cultivate happiness. In 1978, psychologists Philip Brinkman, Dane Coates, and Ronnie Janoff-Woolman published a landmark study that found that lottery winners were not significantly happier than those who had been paralyzed in an accident. From this and subsequent work came the idea that people have a set point that determines their happiness over the course of their life. In other words, we get accustomed to any new situation and inevitably return to our general state of happiness. So it's like,
That's actually so true. But there's like a set bar for your happiness.
No, yeah. And then it was like, however more. The three factors that seem to have the greatest influence on increasing our happiness are our ability to refrain from situations more positively, our ability to express gratitude. Well, basically, I think what it was saying.
I just spit out on my chips. That's so gross. Please look away. Ew. I feel like this notes.
Ooh. Spit up.
Right, sorry, what was that list, Ben? What you said?
That's on the podcast.
She can cut it out.
Bloopers. Basically, it's just like, I think that, like, it's like whenever you're like this, the weather's really good, you're like, oh, I wish it was like this forever. But like, if it was like it forever, then you would just get used to it and it would be like,
right.
Or like if you lived in Hawaii, you lived in Hawaii, you just get used to it.
Well, it's like Lily lived in LA and it was sunny all the time. The first time it like rained, she cried.
She was so happy
to see.
Oh, yeah.
Rain. Yeah, see, like, I feel like you just get accustomed to certain things, so you need all these other emotions to make you appreciate the really great emotions.
Yeah.
So, sadness and grief are good.
Yeah.
We create most of our suffering so we can create most of our joy. Do you believe this?
No.
Ow.
No.
That was an actual quote from the book.
I don't think that's true.
Who said that?
I think it was Dalai Lama.
Yeah. And that sounds like very much like a Buddhist thing. Unfortunately, I think I agree.
I think I agree too. Because I think it's like your ability to like, your outlook on everything. Like, I think some people don't realize how much control they have over everything.
Absolutely. So it's that, so fear, an acronym for fear is false expectations appearing real.
Mm-hmm.
And we can stay in fear, which has us staying. What was the quote?
Repeat that again. We create most of our suffering so we can create most of our joy.
We can stay in fear, which is our suffering. Mm-hmm. We're suffering for things that aren't even happening because we're
literally
fearful. And then, when it happens and turns out good, we're like, oh, it's so great,
Mm-hmm.
But it's that, there's another phrase with regard to worry. It's just like robbing the present or something. I can't remember what it is, but absolutely, I unfortunately
agree with that too.
I mean, it's so hard to hear because it's so true.
Here's the page. On the first day, the Archbishop had touched the fingers of his right hand to his heart to emphasize his centrality. We would end up ultimately at compassion and generosity, and indeed, both men would insist that these two qualities were perhaps most pivotal to any lasting happiness. Yet we need to begin with some fundamental qualities of the mind that would allow us to turn more easily and frequently to the compassionate and generous response to life. As the Dalai Lama had said at the start of our dialogue, we create most of our suffering, so we should be able to create most of our joy. The key, he had explained, was our perspective and thoughts, feelings, and actions that come as a result. Scientific research consistently supported so much of the dialogue that was unfolding over the week. The factors that psychologist, I can't pronounce the name, has found to have the greatest influence on our happiness supported a number of the 8 pillars. The first concerned our perspective towards life, or as Limborsk described it, our ability to reframe our situation more positively, our capacity to experience gratitude, and our choice to be kind and generous to others. So I do think that we create most of our, like, you create your happiness, so like you should be able to create, or you create, I feel like you create your suffering and your happiness.
Right.
So and it's like, I know it's hard to have a good perspective on certain situations, but like one thing that like they were saying in the book was like, are you okay?
It's okay.
Okay, keep going.
So what was I saying?
Sorry.
I think if you just have positive perspectives on like certain outlooks and everything, then like one example was like they were in traffic and this car cut the other car off, and the Douglas Abrams was like thinking in his head, he was like, if this were me, like I would be angry right now and I'd be annoyed and like it could have the ability to ruin the rest of my car ride. But then the I think it was the Dalai Lama was like, well, maybe his wife's in labor and he's in a rush. And it's like, you just kind of like, if you have a positive perspective on it, then you can create more happiness out of it. Because I do think we create our suffering sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunately we do. I mean, sometimes it's outside of us, right? Something happens. You know, my husband was told that his job is being eliminated.
Right.
You know, that's not on our book. The way we handle it is our choice. The way we look at it and frame it and explore the next thing is our choice.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's like sad but true.
Yeah.
Anything?
I actually just like think that anything that happens outside of what you can control, I don't think that you control. I don't think I'm creating my suffering right now. But I don't know, maybe I am. This whole thing is just like making me overthink my life, and I'm kind of like probably don't need to be thinking about this right now.
Okay,
I don't know. I think that if something happens to you, like you can't control it. I don't know.
I think it's just
there are definitely things you cannot control.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If something happens to you because of somebody else's choice, you can't control what they did. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it just seems like your perspective and how you take certain situations. And this is one more question. Why do we get unhappy about things that we can fix, and why do we get unhappy about things we cannot fix? This was another thing the Dalai Lama was saying, was like, things you can fix, like try and fix them so that you can be happy again, and things that you can't fix, there's nothing you can do, so there's no point in being upset about the situation.
Right. So it's the serenity prayer. Have you ever heard the serenity prayer?
Mm-mm.
God, grant me the wisdom to accept the things I cannot change, the wisdom to change things I can.
I kind of like that.
The strength, grant me the wisdom to accept the things I cannot change, the strength to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. I'm putting wisdom in there. But ultimately, I have to acknowledge the things that I have no control over.
Mm-hmm.
The loss of a job. I have to acknowledge the things that I have the ability to change, and I need the strength to do it. And then I need to be able to distinguish the difference.
Which is, I feel like we were talking about a few weeks ago, and I was like, I'm upset about college, like all this stuff.
Wait, what happened about that?
Oh, I still don't know yet.
Yeah.
What?
It's gonna come out
1st.
today. It's February. I thought it meant like by February 1st I would know.
Dude,
I guess-
that's so annoying.
I know. But anyways, it's like
Bruh, I was so excited. Like, I cannot wait.
how you were like, we go on our walk and we
Yeah.
talk about what's going to happen, then we get back and it's like you can't think about it anymore.
Right.
And I think it's helped me a lot in terms of the college situation. Like sometimes I'll start thinking about it, then I'm like, okay, like I know you can't stop thinking about it, but like just don't, like
Right.
like for the moment being like, remind yourself there's nothing you can do, don't think about it right now, just leave it be. But I can think about, I do have this much time left with my friends and everyone that I love, so like let me focus on the time I do have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's really helped me a lot. Like I'm not as more upset about the situations that I can't control anymore.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So I do love the little serenity prayer.
Yes, I love it.
So those are all the questions for the Book of Joy. I really like it.
Yeah, awesome.
That is a good book.
And it's giving me good perspective on life. So,
Yeah, it's a really good book.
No, it is really good. And they're both like so cute.
They're so cute. Their conversations are hilarious.
They're really good. Thanks. Bye.
Have a good day.